dynamic quarterback.
Against UCF, the Nittany Lions, led by their indefatigable, incomparable head coach of 37 years, Joe Paterno. The first meeting ever between these two crews. UCF, Penn State, coming up next. Stadium, the first meeting ever between University of Central Florida, the Golden Knights, and number 23, Penn State, over 100,000 strong. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones, along with Bob Davey. We're glad you came aboard to Penn State. Bob, I'm going to ask you to put your coaching hat back on for a quick second. First game of the season, so many variables. What are these coaches thinking?
Mark, college football is totally unique. In the NFL, they have exhibition games. High school football, they actually go scrimmage other teams. But the reality is these two teams have not seen a different colored jersey since last December. So it drives coaches crazy, but I think that's the great thing about this game. Nobody knows for sure.
You mentioned jerseys. Number 7 for Penn State's all over campus. Zach Mills, the super sophomore quarterback, a special talent.
Zach Mills is a little fire, not only under this football team, but these fans. He gives Fran Gannon an awful lot of flexibility. He can run, he can throw, but most importantly, he's a dynamic quarterback.
Zach Mills set several freshman passing records a season ago, and he has big expectations for not only himself, but the entire team. It is a picture-perfect day for college football. 72 degrees, 73% humidity, partly cloudy, and now the clouds just pulling back a little bit. During the course of the week, though, it was much colder in the low 60s. Penn State won the coin toss and has decided to defer until the second half. David Kimball will kick off for the Nittany Lions, and the Golden Knights will receive the opening kickoff of their 2002 season. And we are set to go. And this one goes through the back of the end zone. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe on the sidelines.
Guys, this is the biggest crowd that Central Florida has ever played in front of, 107,000 people. Now, we wondered if the team would be nervous or tight. When they came in the field through walkthrough for the very first time entering Beaver Stadium, they were loose. I talked to Ryan Schneider, and he said, let's play football. They have a silent count and hand signals built in to combat the crowd noise, so they say they do not feel like that will be a factor.
All right, Holly, they have not played on a stage this big before, though. Schneider, the starting quarterback, the junior from Plantation, Florida. First down and 10 from the 20-yard line. Single back set, 3 receivers. Schneider to Haynes out of the backfield. Haynes steps out at the 22-yard line, pushed out of bounds by Sean Meyer, the free safety. There's a look at the quarterback we were talking about just a few moments ago, whose numbers compare very favorably with Dante Culpepper, former UCF quarterback. The skilled people, Haynes, Gaudian, Frizzell, Gabriel, a good receiver, and Mario Jackson. Bob.
Mark, this Central Florida skill group will test Penn State. They are talented and they are extremely deep.
That's Haynes, the game breaker out of the backfield, lining up in a single back set. 2 tight ends and 2 wideouts. And a single back, which is Haynes. Second down and 9. Haynes trying the left side of that offensive line and stopped right at the line of scrimmage by Lamar Stewart at his linebacking spot. And speaking of that offensive line, it's an offensive line that's deep when healthy.
This is an experienced group as well, Mark. They have several junior college transfers up front, and they love their offensive center, Mike Mabry.
Going up against this Penn State defensive front, Bronson and Haynes on the ends, Adams and Kennedy in the front.
Well, this is Jimmy Kennedy's defensive line. He didn't come out last year in the NFL draft. He's back for a 5th year. He's the leader without a question.
Real tough up the middle. 3rd down and 8. Backs lining up out of the eye. Gabriel in motion at the bottom of your screen. Schneider to pass. Completes the pass to Gabriel for a first down at the 32-yard line. Doug Gabriel, the 6'2 senior, making the catch, and it's first down and 10. Here's a look at the linebackers for Penn State. Stuart Capone and Derek Wake. A concern for Joe Puck.
Joe told us yesterday, #1 priority, improve play from the linebackers. You've already seen that they're going to make those linebackers open field tackle.
In the secondary, Gardner and Scott, Meyer and Harrell at the safety spots.
Injuries have depleted their safeties, and once again, they're going to make those safeties play pass defense today.
First down and 10 for UCF. Handed off to Haynes, tries the left side again. This time has a little bit more room. Haynes all the way out over the 40 to the 41-yard line. Brought down by Lamar Stewart on the play. Mike Kruzek, the fifth-year head coach at UCF, he said, simply put, that this is the biggest opportunity they've ever had as a program in him as a head coach. Bob.
Mark, you have to give them a lot of credit. They come in here today, they're playing in front of 100,000 people. To put that in perspective, in 5 home games last year, they only totaled 98,000 at home. So obviously this is a big stage for them.
Looking to quote-unquote shock the world. 2nd down and 2. UCF on its opening drive of the ball game. Schneider with a play fake. Finds his tight end complete. Midfield for another 1st down. One of 2 talented tight ends. That was Michael Gaines, number 82, on the reception.
You have to love the play calling right here. 2nd and about 3.5. A definite running down. He comes with the bootleg pass, throws the ball to Michael Gaines in the flat. They love Michael Gaines. He's a 280-pound tight end.
With some pretty good feet. He looked some good mobility there too, Bob. 1st down and 10. The ball right at the midfield stripe. Out of the shotgun. Schneider to Haynes. Trying to get to the edge, and he's run down. Sean Neer from his free safety spot making a nice play for the tackle.
Mark, sometimes as a running back, you just have to take what they give you. Sometimes you have a tendency to want to make the big play. In that instance right there, Alex Haynes wanted to take it to the sidelines. He probably could have had 4 or 5 more yards by going vertically.
Haynes is a guy that this year has made a concerted effort to work on his speed a little bit. Last year, his longest run from scrimmage on a running play was only 36 yards, so he's looking to up that quite a bit this season. 2nd down and 13. Jackson in motion. Play fake. Schneider has his man, and it's dropped. Doug Gabriel appeared to have it initially, and then when he came down, he lost control. Scott and Mayer were there.
UCF coaches love Doug Gabriel. If they say one thing he needs to work on, he'll make the spectacular catch, but he's been a little bit inconsistent in taking the given catch. So consistency is the only thing keeping him from being a total player right now.
There's a look at Brian Scott, the senior corner. 3rd down and 13. 42% a season ago on 3rd down situations for UCF. Schneider out of the shotgun. Has plenty of time and has a man. And it's another 1st down. The catch made by Tavares Capers, the 5'9" sophomore. And they keep the drive alive. 1st down and 10 for the Knights.
Great poise by Ryan Schneider. Great protection. He stood in the pocket. Penn State played zone coverage, and he threw the ball on the sideline for the 1st down. That is a huge 1st down. Mark, you have to be impressed with UCF coming in here right now. This drive right now establishes how much confidence they have as an offensive football team.
Schneider getting a lot of time to throw as well. Good protection up front by that offensive line, an offensive line that's been hit with a lot of injuries. 1st down and 10. The nose of the ball at the 38. Toss to Haynes. Stays on his feet. Haynes, another 1st down at the 18-yard line. Alex Haynes showing a little bit of strength on that run before finally being brought down after a 20-yard pickup.
Mark, in the first college football game of the year, how much do you scrimmage in the offseason or preseason? Tackling is probably the biggest concern along with special teams going into a football game. Here you see Albert Haynes. It looks like losing that weight over the summer paid off, and they've got a big explosion out of him already today.
Last year averaged about 4.9 per carry. 1st and 10 from the 18. Backs out of the eye. Haynes running between the tackles. Down to the 12-yard line. Picked up about 5. Tackled by Jimmy Kennedy and Derek Wake, the linebacker. UCF really keeping Penn State off balance so far, Bob.
Mark, a lot of formations. You see them utilizing the 2 tight end set. Then the next time they're in 4 wide receiver set. Mike Kruzek is probably on a script right now to give them a lot of formation packages to see their adjustments.
This is the 11th play of the opening drive of the ball game for UCF and head coach Mike Kruzek. Backs lining up out of the eye. Give it to the fullback for the first time of the ball game. That's Sean Gaudian. And he stopped up after a gain of about 2 yards by Mayer. Gaudian, a 6'2", 235-pound senior.
Sean better appreciate that carry, because looking at their statistics, he doesn't get many, so you know he's going to take advantage every time he touches that football.
For Coach Kruzek and his gang, practice was very tough because the weather down in the Central Florida area in Orlando did not agree with them. They missed about 20% of their total practice time because of afternoon thunderstorms. But so far on this game's opening drive, they look very sharp offensively. 3rd down and 1 for the Golden Knights. Handed off to the tailback, and it's going to be close. Lamar Stewart making the stop on the play. D. Brown on the carry for UCF. Brown, the second string fullback. Although we expected him to see a little bit of time at the tailback spot, got the call on that one. They're going to bring in the chains to
Mark, I see this done when I watch college football or pro football. Tell me, did they make the first down here or not? I'm going to put you out on the ledge right here.
I'm going to say he's a little bit short.
A little bit short. Well, I don't know what you determine being a little bit. This is a huge decision here early in the football game. I think having a true freshman place kicker probably impacts this decision a little bit. But I guess I'm 0 for 1 right now in the broadcasting booth, because it looks like he's going with the field goal team.
And that true freshman you're referring to, his name is Matt Prater.
You know something? For a second there, I didn't notice the kicker out there. And Mike Kruzek has a little bit of a gimmick background, particularly in special teams.
Can't sleep on him. Field goal attempt coming from 26 yards out, coming from the left hash. A true freshman at the trigger here. Cooler than the fan on that one. So UCF marches it down the field, Bob, on the first offensive possession and cashes in 3-0 when we come back. Stick around. Going to Beaver Stadium, State College, Pennsylvania. Penn State, number 23, trailing UCF 3-0 after a very impressive Bob Davies scoring drive. 13 plays, 71 yards.
Tremendous drive. Not only did they take time off the clock, the thing was so impressive. They had 2 big 3rd down conversions on that drive. And Mike Kruzek told us before the game the thing he was concerned about was about getting into 3rd and long. So they have to feel great over there right now on that side.
Tough to think of a better scenario in which they could start out. Back deep for Penn State on the kick. Tony Johnson and Gerald Smith. This is going to be Tony Johnson, number 11. Johnson brought down and fumbled it and put it on the ground. Still waiting for an official call on this. They're going to say Penn State ball. A few nervous moments for Joe Paterno. Let's take a look at the starting quarterback for the offense. Zach Mills, 6'2", 220 pounds. The sophomore, took over near the end of last season and won 5 of their last 7 games. The backs and receivers, skilled people. Larry Johnson, Sean McHugh, Williams, and Tony Johnson, who just ran back that kick, and Bryant Johnson.
Well, Larry Johnson and Tony Johnson are brothers and great athletes, but I love number 24, Bryant Johnson.
Team's top receiver a season ago. 1st down and 10 from the 26. Hugh and Larry Johnson out of the eye. They're going to pass it on 1st down. Flag down on the play. Mills tiptoes out of bounds at the 40-yard line, and it looks like there might be a late hit against UCF. But there's another flag back at the 22-yard line. Peter Sands delivered the late blow on Zach Mills. There you see the scrambling ability and playmaking ability of Zach Mills. If nothing's there, he can make something out of nothing.
I think you see 2 things on that play, Mark. Number 1, the first football game of the year. Sometimes you're a penalized football team. The second thing, you see the youth of UCF in the secondary with the late hit. You definitely see why Fran Ganner has a lot of flexibility with Zach Mills. He's not the fastest guy on the field, but he carries the football.
And there's a look at the late hit. Meanwhile, the hold was against Tyler Lenda, the starting right guard for Penn State. After the dust settles on this one, they're going to place the ball at the 30-yard line. Frank Ganner, the offensive coordinator. How much do they ask of Zach Mills at the line of scrimmage, Bob?
That's a great ongoing debate. In fact, Joe Paterno and Fran Ganner talk about that probably every day. Fran wants to get up and have the perfect play called and make a lot of checks at the line of scrimmage based on the defense. Joe wants to get up there and snap the ball and run the play they have called.
Led the team in rushing 3 times last season. Mills did. Gerald Smith in at receiver now. First down and 10 for Penn State. Mills to pass again, going up top for Bryant Johnson. And it's incomplete at the 35-yard line. Now let's take a look at the Miller High Life offensive line for Penn State. Felder, Smith, Iorio, Lenda, and Matt Schmidt.
Great story. Joe Iorio, first freshman walk-on in the history of excuse me, Mark, I take that back. The first history of Penn State to start as a true walk-on freshman.
While on the defensive front, Genty and Patterson. Patterson, the guy to watch coming off the edge, along with Brown and Johnson. Second down and 10 for the Nittany Lions after the incompletion. Little toss and a fumble. Nobody home, as Larry Johnson wasn't expecting the toss on the play. And it'll be third down and long for Penn State back at the 21-yard line.
Nothing gets you more frustrated as a coach than having self-inflicted mistakes. This play right here had absolutely nothing to do with UCF's defense or their defensive scheme. It was all on Penn State's execution. And that has to be disappointing right now for Joe Paterno with an experienced quarterback.
Third down and 21. Ball all the way back at the 21-yard line. Loss of 10 on the play. Three receiver formation for the Nittany Lions. Mills for Bryant Johnson, has him open, and it's a first down at the 42-yard line of the Knights. Bryant Johnson, whose confidence has soared of late.
I love Bryant Johnson, but this one right here is stealing. Mark, they break a coverage. The free safety was actually playing middle thirds, playing 3 deep, and the corner jumped up and was playing the flat. They had nobody in the deep thirds, so as talented as Bryant Johnson is, UCF gave them that big third down conversion.
Bryant Johnson, 6'2", a senior, had 5 games where he went over 100 yards receiving last season. Big conversion for Penn State. They give it to Larry Johnson, and Johnson all the way down to the 31, and another Penn State first down. Let's take a look at the linebackers now for UCF. Rule, Masco, the JC player, and Stanford Rule and Palinko.
Chad Masco, at one point, player of the year in the state of Florida.
Lawrence and Samuel on the corners, Sands and Bigby, a hard-hitting safety.
One great cover corner in Asani Samuel. The problem, Penn State has 2 or 3 NFL-type receivers on that field.
Daunting challenge ahead for that UCF secondary today. First down and 10. Out of the shotgun. McHugh, the fullback, brought down at the 30-yard line. It must be college football season because I'm sending it back to Reese Davis. Reese?
You bet it is, Mark, and we are in action at the Big House, Washington and Michigan. Last year, Michigan with its second worst rushing offense in the last 39 years. They vowed to improve it. Looks pretty good there. Chris Perry is loose. He hits X for the speed burst, goes 57 yards, 7-0 Michigan on top of Washington, and they just turned the ball over. There are Huskies on the board. It's UConn on top of BC by 6.
All right, Reese back here, second down and 9 for Penn State. UCF come with a little blitz. And a quick 3-step drop complete at the 24-yard line to number 24, Bryant Johnson.
Great job by Zach Mills right there, Mark, of recognizing the zone blitz. UCF brought the 2 inside linebackers. They end up playing 3 deep behind it, and all of a sudden you see there's no way they can defend that flat. That play was checked at the line of scrimmage, and a great job of communication and execution to get the big completion.
Zach Mills with a nice feel and grasp of the offense. Three receiver formation again for the Nittany Lions. Johnson, Smith, and Bryant Johnson. There's the option package. Larry Johnson on the toss. Touchdown, Penn State.
Mark, that is a great play call. We talked yesterday over at Penn State's offices about the NCAA field zone blitz. UCF is a big field zone blitz team. You see the linebacker coming from the field. Penn State ran the option away from the blitz into the boundary. Larry Johnson, he gets a great block from Casey Williams. But you know what? That's a great play call by Fran Ganner, playing the percentages of the number of times UCF is a field zone blitz team.
A 23-yard touchdown run in Penn State with its first points of the 2002 season. Good with the extra point. And the Nittany Lions answer with their own marching scoring drive. 7-3 when we come back to Beaver Stadium. Pristine beauty of the campus here at Penn State University. Number 23 Nittany Lions leading 7-3. Joe Pond, his 37th year as head coach. Pretty nice scoring drive just a few moments ago. 8 plays, 74 yards, using up just under 3 minutes on the clock. And the big play, that pass and catch to Bryant Johnson to keep the drive alive. Joe Pa told his team prior to this game that, guys, we're not a very good football team right now, but we have a chance to be a very good football team if we take care of the little things from week to week. It's going to be a situation where they kind of ascend the learning curve. Kimball kicks off. And once again, this one deep into the end zone. And let's take one more look at that touchdown run moments ago by Larry Johnson.
Mark, when we talk about the NCAA blitz, we're talking about the outside linebacker coming from the field, the end pinching inside, the inside linebacker blitzing, dropping the safety down to 3 deep. And what happens, this defensive end has the flat and has the pitch, and they voided it on the option right there.
Zach Mills with a great pitch. Officially a pass, they're calling it, to Larry Johnson for the touchdown run by.
Mark, as this game evolves, we've seen some huge third down conversions by both teams so far.
2 tight end formation, 2 wideouts for UCF on 1st down and 10. Schneider complete right over the middle of the field, close to the 1st down. To his tight end, Gino Capone, making the stop. Let's go back to Reese in the studio.
All right, Mark, and a big old can of whooping is being applied to the Akron Zips, courtesy of Iowa, already up 7-0. Kevin Worthy's going to scoop that up and go 34 yards. They added a safety. Fred Russell just seconds ago just scored his 2nd touchdown. They're about to try the extra point. It's 22-0, not even halfway through the first.
Coach Barrett's crew looking pretty good so far. 2nd down and 1. That's lining up out of the eye for UCF. Haynes brought down right near the 30-yard line, seemingly short of the 1st down. Mayer making the stop. We're here at University Park, Pennsylvania. Beaver Stadium, UCF against number 23 Penn State. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey. Holly Rowe down on the sideline. So far 7-3. The home team leading. Both teams with impressive opening drives to score points. UCF with the ball right now facing 3rd down and 1. They come out quick. Haynes going to be close, very close.
Mark, I think that's an illustration of a great point we talked about. Do you get up there and snap the ball in a hurry, or do you check? Obviously, UCF tried to get up there and quick snap Penn State, but they ran into the strength of their defense. In fact, Penn State may have been lined up wrong, but they had no way to check out of it.
Sets up a 4th down and 1, and on comes the punt team for the Golden Knights. And an appreciative round of applause from the close to 100,000 here on hand. Brian Johnson back deep to get the punt, standing at his own 30-yard line. Ryan Flynn standing at his own 16. Their average of just over 32 yards per punt. Gets off a good one here, driving Johnson back to the 23. And he's brought down immediately at the 28-yard line. A 5-yard return after a 48-yard punt. We'll be back right after this. University, Penn State leading 7-3 with the ball right now on their own 29-yard line. Zach Mills choreographed a scoring drive on his last offensive possession. See what he does here. McHugh and Larry Johnson line up out of the out. He's 3 of 4, Mills was on the last drive. Little play fake. Oh boy, he had his tight end Casey Williams wide open with real estate in front of him. Folks, don't forget, coming up at 7:45 Eastern time on ESPN, it's Clemson against Georgia.
Mark, you'd think there'd be some offensive fireworks in that game, wouldn't you?
Yeah, SEC Freshman of the Year, David Green, and number 12 ranked Georgia. College Football Saturday presented by U.S. Postal Service on ESPN. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. Keyword schedule. 2nd down and 10. Mills and Johnson bumped into each other on the handoff, and that one was ill-fated from the beginning. Let's go back to Reese in the studio.
Well, Mark, it looks as if Air Force has that ground game full speed ahead against Northwestern. Chance Harris, the new quarterback in the tradition of D. Dallas, and Bo Morgan has already taken it in a couple of times against Wildcat D. It's 14-0 in the first.
I'm sorry, Bob Davie, but I still love old-fashioned option football.
I broke out in a sweat watching that Air Force Academy, running that wishbone.
3rd down and 14 for the Nittany Lions. Johnson had a big catch the last time to keep the drive alive. Mills finds Johnson again. Still on his feet. Johnson brought down at the 30-yard line. 1st down, Nittany Lions.
Another huge 3rd down conversion. Zach Mills to Brian Johnson. And I think Zach Mills rebounded and showed tremendous poise here. Up until this point, he's looked a little bit rattled, but he stands in the pocket. He delivers the ball to Brian Johnson. Once again, 3rd down conversions on defense. You see UCF, number 28 is Sonny Samuel, who you think would be a bump and run pressure type cover guy. They decided to play a 3-deep soft zone again, and Penn State and Zach Mills took advantage of it.
1st down and 10 for Penn State. Johnson already with a couple big catches in the game. Mills back to pass once again. Completes the pass at the 24-yard line to the tight end, Casey Williams. Back to Brian Johnson. You know, a couple of years ago, Bob Davie, it was a situation where he really struggled with his confidence after he had a couple of crucial drops, but it's nice to see him rise in his confidence level now.
It really was, and I'm sure if you talk to Brian, he would say, don't even bring that up. Don't jinx me. I'm through that. Let's not talk about it. But he is a prototype receiver. I know this is a pretty strong statement, but he reminds me a little bit of Keyshawn Johnson, the way he plays the game.
Yeah, similar in size at 6'2". 2nd down and 5. And we have a timeout on the field. College football season, and don't miss a college football double dip tonight on ESPN2. 5:30 Eastern, number 4 Tennessee takes on Wyoming in Nashville. At 8:45 Eastern, the UNLV Runnin' Rebels host number 25 Wisconsin. College football Saturday on ESPN2. For more of our lineup on upcoming games, log on to ESPN.com. Keyword schedule. Hey, what about number 25 Wisconsin and their impressive victory? I know you were up in Madison, saw them play up close, and got a real talented running back there in Anthony Davis.
I love Anthony Davis, but I know Anthony Davis will tell you he loves those big 320-pound offensive linemen they put out there.
Timeout charge to Penn State. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe. Holly?
Guys, talking with wide receiver coach for Penn State, Kenny Carter, he said the wide receivers have a huge responsibility this year. Joe Paterno has finally relented and has put in some 3 wide receiver sets. He said it's because he finally feels confident in the group of receivers he has, not just Bryant Johnson, but Tony Johnson as well, and Gerald Smith. They said they take their responsibilities seriously, including blocking downfield for running backs, whoever they need to. The wide receivers taking a bigger role this season.
All right, Holly, and Bryant Johnson, the key one so far. Second down and 5. The option into the boundary. Larry Johnson with a first down at the 13-yard line. Atari Bigby, a strong safety, making the stop for UCF.
Two things. I think you're seeing the influence right now of Northwestern on the rest of the Big Ten. The spread offense, the quarterback runs, the option. The second thing, I think you see Larry Johnson, his physical style. He definitely wants to be the hammer and not the nail. So, but he's, you know, is he used to carrying the ball, being the hammer as many times? That's what we'll see as this season develops.
He's not the type of guy that likes to avoid contact. First and 10, the handoff to the fullback on the belly play. Sean McHugh runs it that time. And Bob, just back to what we were talking about, the 3 receiver formations that Holly mentioned that they've gone to now. There's a perception out there that Penn State is sometimes very vanilla, but they got a little bit of spice in the flavor rack, don't they?
Yeah, and I was really surprised yesterday in talking to Fran Ganner. He says that Joe's a bit of a gimmick guy. And what he really likes to do is run his gimmick play first before the other team does it. But I'll tell you this, Joe will still sneak that fullback, Sean McHugh, back in there. In fact, he may have called that last play right there, that fullback belly.
Second down and 6. Johnson the lone back. Smith in motion. Masco making the stop. Nose of the ball at the 7-yard line. Bigby making the tackle along with Masco.
Chad Masco is a talented young football player. He originally signed with Florida State, high school defensive player of the year in Florida. The problem he's had, he's been such a good athlete that everyone's played him at different positions and taken advantage of his skills. He hasn't played a lot of linebacker.
Former high school All-American. Played last year at Southwest Mississippi Community College. 3rd down and 5. Mills on the shuffle pass. Johnson brought down short of the first down at the 6-yard line by Elton Patterson. They just call him EP around Orlando way. He's on the Lombardi watch list, and he showed you why with a nice defensive stop.
Elton Patterson is a great young man. I had a chance to go down and spend some time at UCF. He will graduate from UCF in 3.5 years, and he's just a tremendous young man. He might be their best recruiter. He recruited DeMarcus Johnson, the defensive tackle he was high school teammates with.
Bringing some people in the fold as well. They're going to attempt a field goal now from about 23 yards out. Robbie Gould, who last year was 6 of 10 out of the hold of Chris Ganter. Gould knocks it through. Penn State increases its lead to 10-3. Well, NFL kickoff weekend starts right here on ESPN. San Francisco 49ers take on the New York Giants. Coverage beginning with a special edition of NFL Countdown presented by Coors Light at 6:30 Eastern. ESPN and ABC are your exclusive home for primetime football. It should be a pretty interesting matchup. A lot of hype surrounding Jeremy Shockey, tied in with the New York Giants, and Mariucci's feathers ruffled a little bit by Steve Spurrier in the preseason.
He won't be the last one that has his feathers ruffled by Steve Spurrier. But that should be a great atmosphere in New York, Mark, with the events of last September 11th, and that should be a great night.
Back deep, it's Gabriel. That last drive, 9 plays, 46 yards. Using up 3:13 on the clock. Kimball to kick off for the Nittany Lions. Kimball once again knocks it deep. Gabriel will take the knee 8 yards deep, and it has been a very heartfelt and poignant year for these Nittany Lions. For more, let's go downstairs to Holly.
Well, gentlemen, there was a devastating loss for the Penn State family this season. George Paterno had been the longtime voice of the Penn State Nittany Lions, also the brother of Joe Paterno. It was a very upsetting death for all of the people concerned with the football program. They had gotten so used to hearing his call on the football games. In fact, Joe Paterno, reeling from his brother's loss after they'd played together since they were in high school. Joe went to the beach for a couple of weeks, turned off the phone, just spent some time in solitude, and finally got back. He said that the loss has helped them be more tolerant as a team, tolerant of each other, knowing that there's more important things in life than just football.
Yeah, and he's always very good at putting things into perspective. Haynes out of the backfield, brought down at the 24-yard line by the other Haynes, Michael. And, not only did the Penn State football family lose Joe's brother, but Frank Ganner's wife passed away suddenly, and Frank Ganner able to cope with some of those very trying circumstances. His son Chris, the third-string quarterback on this football team, and it's really brought the staff as well as the players much closer together. 2nd down and 6. Backfield once again. This is Luther Huggins. The Penn State defense really swarming to the ball now.
Mark, we talked before the game. You're going to see a lot of screen passes. Penn State has to feel good.
Penn State with the lead after the first 15 minutes of play in the 2002 season for both UCF and Penn State. 10-3 when we come back to Beaver Stadium. Stick around. State College, Pennsylvania. Penn State leading 10-3 as we begin the second period of play here. UCF with the ball, 1st down and 10 at its own 22-yard line. Along with Bob Davie, Holly Rowe down on the sidelines on the first full opening Saturday of the college football season. 3rd down and 8. Schneider complete, and a flag down at the 38-yard line. Jimmy Frizzell, the senior, working on Richard Gardner.
Mark, I wonder if he stepped out of bounds and came back in. That seemed like a strange flag over there on the sidelines.
Came kind of late, too.
It really did.
Frizzell, the 6', 195-pound senior, caught 39 passes a season ago.
No, it's clearly offensive pass interference. UCF's coaches told me Jimmy Frizzell was a strong receiver, but I don't think that's what they mean when they say strong receiver.
A little too physical on that exchange. Puts the ball back at the 11-yard line. They'll replay 3rd down. The 3rd down and 22. Frizzell had 2 touchdown catches a season ago. And coming into this game, he's caught one in 21 consecutive contests. Now they split the field out. Schneider with time. Gabriel right near the 1st down marker at the 30-yard line. It's going to be close. Sean Mayer making the stop on the play. A 19-yard pickup. Let's take a look at our ESPN game track. Out of the gate, boy, UCF marched it down the field, made a couple of nice 3rd down conversions. Alex Haynes, the big cog in the offense, but then Penn State countered with Brian Johnson on a big 3rd down conversion right there, and then Larry Johnson on the toss into the end zone. Made it 7-3. Right now it's 10-3. UCF now on the 1st and 10 after the conversion. Screen pass to Haynes, and he's got a couple of blockers in front of him. Haynes with another 1st down out to the 45-yard line, brought down by Calvin Lowry. Boy, that looked like it was well set up, Bob Davie.
Mike Kruzik using the whole playbook. They had trips to one side, 3 wide receivers to one side. They came back to the short side to the tailback. Haynes, great execution of the play. Great call, 1st and 10.
Alex Haynes, along with a couple of other players from that UCF team, telling me when I had a chance to visit with them, this is the biggest game of their career, playing in front of this huge crowd at Penn State.
That was good. If he throws the ball to it, it's a 20-yard.
Snyder hands it off, this time out of the shotgun. Haynes again hitting his helmet down and plowing down near another 1st down at the 45-yard line, brought down by Lowry. Let's go to Reese Davis.
Mark, Alabama has Oklahoma next week, opening with Middle Tennessee, and Iowa continues to just pound Akron into oblivion, 30-0 late in the 1st quarter.
All right, Reese, Iowa really zipping it up. Meanwhile, that Alabama team, they're one of the teams that got upset by UCF 2 years back. Second down and 1. A little premature movement on one of those fronts.
Mark, as this game develops, you can see that Penn State is a high percentage zone coverage team on defense. One thing, if you're going to play zone coverage,
Ball start, offense.
if you're going to play zone coverage on long passing downs, you had better get a pass rush out of that front four. And right now, Ryan Schneider is pretty comfortable in that pocket.
Michael Haynes and Jimmy Kennedy, along with Anthony Adams and John Bronson up front for Penn State, unable to get any kind of what you would term significant pressure on Ryan Schneider. Haynes and Adams both with 11 sacks a season ago. But neither have been heard from in a significant way so far. Second down and 6 now after the penalty. Trips to the right side of the field for UCF. Schneider with time again. Incomplete. Look for Gabriel over the middle. And he was covered well by Brian Scott. Some of you may be wondering where exactly UCF is. It's in the Orlando area. And they're not really what you would consider a small school with an enrollment of 38,000 students, Bob.
It's a huge school and a beautiful campus. To put this in perspective, this is Joe Paterno's 53rd year in football. It's UCF's as a university's 24th year in football. So he's already lapped them one time.
Golden Knights trying to get to where Penn State already is. Third down and 6. Tipped up. Almost intercepted. And it's incomplete. It was tipped by Cronin. And once again, Brian Scott in on the play. It'll be 4th down and they'll punt.
Paul Cronin, the nickelback. Penn State's playing a lot of nickel, 5 defensive backs, taking their outside linebacker, Derek Wake, out of the game. Brian Scott had a chance right there. He told me yesterday he was going to get an interception.
Brian Scott, a real tremendous looking athlete. Ryan Flynn get a punt now. New punter this year, Borlegi. Javier Borlegi punted for 3 consecutive seasons, did the punting and place kicking for UCF. Flynn hangs this one up. Johnson back at the 13, comes right up the middle and fumbles it. Still waiting for a call. And they're still fighting for the ball down on the field. UCF ball. The Golden Knights recovered the fumble by Bryant Johnson.
Mark, that is huge because you had the feeling that Penn State was about ready to take control of this a little bit. Mark, once again, first college football games of the year. How many times in this preseason or back to spring was Brian Johnson back there with full-speed tacklers coming down the field on him on punt return? That's a coach's nightmare. You just can't practice it the way you would like to practice it.
Darren Bray made the football recovery for UCF. First down and 10 now. See how opportunistic UCF can be. Quick little screen. And nowhere to go for Ivory Gaskins, the senior. Let's go back to Reese in the studio.
All right, Mark, Michigan once again hitting Washington with the big play. Earlier it was Chris Perry. This time it is John Navarre. Looking deep for Braylon Edwards, who had just 3 catches a year ago, but he toasted Rock Alexander there. 14-0 Wolverines in the big house. Northwestern and Air Force, Chance Harris has already run for 2 touchdowns. Might as well toss for one to Adam Strecker. 21-0. The Falcons are flying.
Boy, the old Fox, Fisher DeBerry's got him going there to Air Force.
He used that.
Second down and 14 for Ryan Schneider. Complete that time to Gaskins over the middle. Cronin made the tackle on the play. They get some of it back to the 29-yard line.
Mark, Tom Bradley has to be pleased right now. The defensive coordinator from Penn State. Penn State expected a lot of those screen passes to those talent wide receivers, but they're really converging on those screens. And I think their defensive front is doing a good job of corralling and chasing the football.
saw the numbers on total offense so far pretty much even on 3rd down and 8 now for the Golden Knights. Complete. And it's a 1st down on the catch by Tavares Capers, brought down by Sean Mayer.
The first time this football game that Tom Bradley's decided to heat UCF up a little bit on 3rd down. And a great read once again by Ryan Schneider. You see his poise in the pocket. Penn State's coaches went back and charted. Last year he was blitzed 70 times. He was only sacked 1 time. And it wasn't so much because of great offensive line play by UCF. He does a great job of seeing the blitz and identifying it.
1st down and 10. Schneider showing a cool hand so far. Haynes tried to get to the corner, chopped down to the 13-yard line by Brian Scott. A big corner, good tackle.
That could have been a bigger game. On that play, Doug Gabriel, the wide receiver, really had a difficult time stock blocking Brian Scott out there at corner. And you can see why Joe Paterno thinks he probably would be a better strong safety than he is a corner. You can see it out here. Not a great effort right there by Doug Gabriel.
We saw Scott at practice, man. He's got one of those bodies by Jake. 2nd down and 3. That's lining up out of the eye. Gaines, the tight end, lines up to the right. Here's Haynes. Cuts back the other way and chopped down right at the line of scrimmage by Lamar Stewart, the 6'1 sophomore. Got a lot of experience last year. Played in 10 games as a true freshman.
And I think you can see that Mike Kruzek is trying to establish the run. They finished 103rd last year in rushing offense. And you see that he's coming back, and it's still a work in progress as far as getting the offensive line in time and establishing the running game. But he knows they have to have a little more balance to be a successful football team.
Haynes comes out of the ball game. D. Brown comes in. 3rd down and 5 for UCF. Roselle is in the slot to the top of your screen. They come back the other way to the tight end, incomplete. And he had some room in front of him. Mario Jackson couldn't corral the ball. It was a little bit high. And it will be 4th down and 5. In comes the field goal unit. So once again, the Penn State defense digs in its heels in the red zone.
And I think if you're Mike Kruzek, you certainly feel right now that you've had your opportunities and you have great confidence. You just have to execute a little bit better.
Prater has already connected from 26 yards out. This one coming from 32. And the true freshman is true. Right down the pipes. UCF, the Golden Knights narrow the lead to 10-6. We'll be right back. University Park, Pennsylvania, Beaver Stadium. It's UCF against Penn State, number 23 in the country. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe. Joe Pa against Mike Kruzek. Penn State against UCF. And it is an absolutely gorgeous Saturday afternoon for college football. Once again, we see another kickoff go deep into and through the end zone. Folks, tonight at 7:45 Eastern on ESPN, Clemson quarterback Willie Simmons makes his first career start as the Tigers make a trip to Athens, take on SEC Freshman of the Year David Green and the number 12 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. College Football Saturday presented by the U.S. Postal Service on ESPN. Clemson having to replace Woodrow Dancer, who's doing pretty well as a punt returner right now for Dallas, huh?
Yeah, and I am really looking forward to watching Mike Gottfried and Ron Franklin. And that's a big rivalry. Those two schools are a lot closer than what people think.
1st down and 10. Goes on a quick 3-step drop. Had to wait and throws it up. And it's caught unbelievably by Tony Johnson. Wow, how did he get that?
Unbelievable. That's what will make you get out of coaching right there. When that ball left Zach Mills' hands, I thought it was actually an interception. Here you are, you're going to see them in 2 deep. They throw the fade to corner, does a great job of collisioning. Just Tony Johnson gets up and high points the ball. And I believe he was a basketball player in high school. Mark, he went up and just converted the jump ball situation.
Omar Lawrence was right there on the coverage, but somehow Johnson came up with it. 1st down and 10 for Penn State. the 35. Mills threw that one away, wisely so. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Rashad Genty in on the pressure. The numbers so far, Penn State doing a great job passing the ball. But just 6 yards rushing so far.
Mark, that's interesting. The one critical stat, though, is the turnover by Brian Johnson on the punt that led to the field goal right here. The other critical stat is 3rd down conversions. There's been some big 3rd down conversions by both sides in this game.
2nd down and 10. Casey Williams, the 10 tied up, lined up at the right side of the formation. Here's Johnson. Johnson broke a couple of tackles, got the 1st down out to the 47-yard line, finally tackled by Peter Sands. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe.
Guys, last year Penn State finished next to last in the Big Ten in rushing yards, partly because of their tailback by committee rotating 3 guys. This year, Larry Johnson is the man. He's going to go from about 6 carries a game last year to 20 to 25, and he says he's ready. He spent all season conditioning his body for extra contact. The coaches, though, trying to get him to avoid that contact. They said he'll seek it out because he's so intense. They're trying to get him to dip his shoulder, maybe move and not make people hit him once in a while.
Larry Johnson in stark contrast to the temperament of his brother Tony, who's a little more mellow. Here he is again, running into the boundary. Following his blockers nicely, Larry Johnson, and another 1st down for Penn State at the 38-yard line. Omar Lawrence making the tackle on the play.
Larry Johnson loves Eddie George, and they really do have similar running styles. But once again, I think you see Joe Paterno football right here. Sean McHugh, the fullback, the lead blocker in the game. Fran Ganner told us yesterday, we're going to be a lot of one-back, but Joe Paterno will always be a base 2-back offense with that big fullback in the game. I wouldn't be surprised to see the fullback carry the ball right now off that toss sweep, come back with the belly.
Hugh is the fullback lined up in the eye. Tony Johnson in motion at the bottom of your screen. Come back with Larry. They're going to milk him. And he's tackled right at the line of scrimmage at the 38 by Mike Lynch. He's already got more carries than he averaged last year.
This is a big test for UCF's defense. Last year defensively, they finished up 13th in the nation. They were a great defensive football team. They really only have 2 starters back, plus they have a new defensive coordinator, Bill DeTavio. The great thing is Bill was there last year, and it's a similar scheme, but there's a lot of young players on that field right now for UCF.
Sometimes with those junior college players, it will take them a little bit of time to assimilate. 2nd down, Bills. McHugh, the fullback, on the screen. McHugh down at the 31. Let's go to Reese.
Mark Conklin wants to do a touchdown pass to Sam Collins for Alabama, as you see the celebration. The way you planned it, isn't it, Coach Davey? UConn has gotten a 3-pointer apparently from Ben Gordon, and they're up on BC 9-3.
To answer Reese's question, I thought Tom Bradley had the greatest line yesterday. He said it's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes. Sometimes those best laid plans, they don't work out. It's the players that win these football games.
That plan didn't work out for Penn State. Mills on the option, brought down to the 32. You trying to tell me you didn't have that one in your playbook?
The question, will Dennis Francione take credit for it and say it was in the playbook?
I think you have to.
Yeah. That was an interesting call right there. That kind of shows you the new wave Penn State football. On 3rd down and relatively short, they put the ball in Zach Mills' hands out of the shotgun and run the option.
Now Robbie Gould comes in to attempt a field goal. This one's going to be long from about 47, 48 yards out. Out of the hold of Chris Ganner, that man's son. Already hit one from 23 yards out. Has a slight wind in his face. Got plenty of leg on this, but it's wide. Gould 1 of 2 now on the day. So UCF dodges a potential bullet. They'll have the ball when we come back to Beaver Stadium. You know, Central Casting couldn't pick a better spot for college football. You just recently saw a look at College Avenue downtown. Had a chance to stroll down there a little bit yesterday. Had lunch with Joe Pa and the coaching staff at the Nittany Lion Inn, and It's a great visit with the coaching staff in the last couple of days here at Penn State University. First down and 10 for UCF at the 30. Snyder bounced one in, incomplete at the 45. Let's go to Reese Davis in the studio.
Mark, Florida State got to know Lane Danielson last week, and the Fighting Mark Manginos are introduced as well. Iowa State and Kansas reverse. Lane Danielson, 6 catches, 96 yards against FSU, a touchdown there. Iowa State on top of Mangino in his debut, 10-0, and Air Force has blocked a punt, and boy, maybe they can fly the charter home Northwestern ready to get out of there.
All right, Reese, second down and 10 now. 3 receiver formation, actually 4 for the Golden Knights. Snyder steps up, finds Doug Gabriel in a maze of defenders at the 48-yard line for the first down, brought down by Sean Mayer. Folks, don't miss a college football double dip tonight on ESPN2, 5:30 Eastern. Number 4 Tennessee takes on Wyoming in Nashville. And at 8:45 Eastern, the Runnin' Rebs host number 25 Wisconsin. College football Saturday on ESPN2. What a pass. A 17-yard pickup.
Once again, Mark, though, I go back to the protection. The 4-man rush, zone coverage. You can't hold up on those deep square-ins with that much time.
Gabriel, a nice target at 6'2". First down and 10. Haynes trying to get to the edge, but brought down at midfield. Number 17, Levon Chisley. We saw him at practice a couple days ago, Bob. Nice-looking athlete.
He is a great-looking athlete, and something that's happened right now. Tom Bradley has really gone to a substitution defense. That time they lined up in an odd front, a 3-man front, 2 outside linebackers, and brought the zone blitz from the field. So you're seeing a little bit different look out of Penn State right now.
Chisley, the backup defensive end behind Bronson. Defensive front, arguably the strength of that defensive unit for Penn State. Second down and 8 for UCF. Snyder out of the gun. Quick 3-step drop complete to Capers. Brought down short of the first down at the 45-yard line. It'll be third down and about 3 to go for UCF.
Really a nice open field tackle right there. And this is something that Mike Kruzak does a little bit unique. He gets in a stack situation with his receivers. And what it really does, it screws up your rules as a lot as defensive backs. And all that confusion, you end up throwing the screen anyhow.
Real offensive guy, Mike Kruzak, and as he said, a little bit unconventional at times. Today, UCF doing pretty well on 4th down situations. Third down and 4. Snyder complete. Who else? Gabriel for the first down at the 40-yard line, tackled by Richard Gardner. Doug Gabriel worked out a lot this summer back at Apopka High School with some pretty big names. Guys like Randy Moss went to the fast camp and worked out with Jeremy Rudolph as well.
Mark, highly recruited out of junior college. Florida State recruited him as a defensive back. And he wanted to play in Mike Kruzak's offense, but more importantly, he wanted to be a wide receiver. And that's one of those stories right now, and probably Bobby Bowden just cringes when he hears about recruiting him as a defensive back.
4 catches for 53 yards today. Snyder, meanwhile, 13 of 18 passing, 1st and 10. With that 14 out of 19, Frizzell has a little bit of room, and there's another one of those little quick screens, Bob, close to the first down at the 29-yard line.
That is the bubble screen. The difference, Jimmy Frizzell is usually the blocker on the bubble screen. He had a chance there to catch the ball and run with it. That's one of the rules that Mike Kruzak takes advantage of in college football. If the ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage, the linemen and receivers are allowed to block downfield while the pass is in progress. The NFL, you're not allowed to do that. So Mike, I think, does a great job of taking advantage of NCAA rules on that play.
Former NFL quarterback with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who won 2 Super Bowl rings. Also played with the Washington Redskins. And the quarterback at Boston College, Mike Kruzak, his team with the ball. And Haynes brought down behind the line of scrimmage that time at the 32. Nice surge by Derek Wake, number 94.
Derek Wake from his outside linebacker position. Last year in the Miami game, he tore his cruciate, and cruciate knee ligament was out for the season. There you see a good defensive call by Tom Bradley. The end up the field, the outside linebacker underneath. and it hit them right where they ran the football. Good call by Tom Bradley.
One of several linebackers, Bob, trying to raise the profile once again at what used to be called linebacker U.
Those linebackers have taken a beating here in Happy Valley.
Timeout on the field. 2nd down and 12 for UCF when we come back. Here at Beaver Stadium, faces painted, hopes high. The home team leading. Coming up, though, on the Nivea for Men halftime report. Reese Davis and Trev Alberts in the studio. Washington taking on Michigan. And Colorado State highlights as well. Ryan Schneider has connected on 5 of his last 7 passes. Looking at 2nd and 12. They set up the screen to Haynes, and it took a little bit of time, maybe too much, to set up. Brought down to the 37 by Derek Wake once again. It'll be 3rd down and long for the Golden Knights.
Once again, great pursuit by Penn State's defensive front on the screen. You can see they've spent a lot of time in summer camp working on defending screens.
Under 2 minutes to go now in the half. UCF hanging around and playing well. 3rd down and long.
Mark, you see something on the sidelines right there that's kind of unique to college football. Penn State's defensive coaches hold up cards alerting their defensive football team what substitution package UCF has on the field. That guy has his work cut out for him today because UCF has every package there is.
His only job. On 3rd down and 17 for Schneider. Going up top. Couldn't hang on to it. Doug Gabriel at the last second, when he hit the ground, apparently could not hang on. But Ryan Schneider put it right where it had to be.
Wow, that was an unbelievable throw and a great effort by Doug Gabriel. Once again, for young cornerbacks out there, you see Ron Gardner that gets mesmerized a little bit. Richard Gardner is mesmerized looking back at the quarterback while Doug Gabriel's behind him. At some point, if you're behind in a race, you better focus on the guy you're chasing and catch up before you look back to the quarterback. That could have and probably should have been a touchdown.
Oh, so close. Gabriel a little bit hot over it. Instead, Matt Prater comes in to attempt his 3rd field goal. He's connected from 26 and 32 already. This one coming from 53. Has enough leg. And it's good with distance to spare. The Golden Knights now in Mike Kruzek's team, geeked up and fired up to within 1 point of Penn State. It's a game literally of inches. An opportunity gone by the boards. One of Penn State, 10-9 with 1:09 to play in the first half. Matt Prater, the true freshman place kicker, knocking through a 53-yard field goal just a few moments ago. So much for all the anxiety and consternation of a true freshman. How about?
Mark, we spent a lot of time philosophizing that about the true freshman, how shell-shocked he might be.
Shell-shocked nothing. Through the back of the end zone, and let's go to Reese Davis.
All right, Mark, coming up on the Navy for Men halftime report, Washington survived against Michigan last year because of mistakes, and the Wolverines just made a huge one. Colorado and Colorado State are underway out in the thin mountain air, and we'll also check out a Husky surprise, and Jim Calhoun hasn't even rolled out the balls yet.
I'll tell you what, now that makes me nervous. I thought you were going to head towards the Connecticut girls basketball team there for a second, but I guess it is football season.
Yeah, we got to wait on that other one.
Yeah.
1st down and 10, Penn State going to start from its own 20-yard line. And, you know, so far, frankly, this a bit of a surprise. There are a lot of people that thought that UCF might not be this close at this juncture of the ball game. But they are playing extremely well. The screen pass, Mills. And a great play by DeMarcus Johnson. A yard behind the line of scrimmage. One more look at that potentially touchdown catch. Could have been.
Wow. Definitely, when you look at it in slow motion, you would tend to say that he had possession of that football. That call is so close to make right there. Mark, I'm going to let you make the call on that one now.
I'm going to hold off. 2nd down and 10. I didn't think that he quite had control. That's where I'm going with that.
I'm sticking with you.
2nd down and 10. Larry Johnson. Johnson has a 1st down over the 30-yard line with 20 seconds to go in the first half. In a first half that for the most part, very well played offensively by both teams. Penn State with a slight edge in total yardage. UCF able to convert on a field goal before the last field goal off a Penn State turnover. Mills complete to Johnson on the screen, brought down to the 33-yard line. That'll be the last play of the first half. A first half where the visiting team actually taken timeout by Penn State. Visiting team came in here undaunted and unintimidated. We're going to take a break on the field, and we're going to take one in the booth. We'll be right back. Ernie Terrell on the carry, and that's the end of the first half. There weren't many people that thought that UCF would be this competitive, but surprise, surprise, 10-9 at the break. Number 23 Penn State with the lead. Let's go to Reese, and this gets set for the beginning. Of the third quarter. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey. Holly Rowe down on the sidelines. We'll hear from her in just a bit. But Bob, last couple of seasons Penn State got off to very slow starts, had disappointing seasons. There's a sense of palpable, tangible expectation here.
Mark, you can feel it. The dynamics of a college football game, when one team is supposed to win big, when one team for 2 years in a row had a disastrous start at home, you sense it here. You sense it. There's 100,000 people here all waiting for something positive to happen.
And Penn State hoping to make that happen here as they receive the kickoff in the third quarter. Larry Johnson had a big first half, an integral part of their offensive attack in the first half. UCF to kick off, and you sense that UCF, they couldn't have scripted it any better going into the locker room at halftime. They were all jacked up.
Mark, they definitely had the momentum. I'm not sure UCF can stop the run. The question is, can Penn State be patient enough to give Larry Johnson enough touches?
Larry Johnson so far running the ball very well 8 times for a total of 56 yards. And here he is on the kickoff return, a yard deep. Johnson finds a seam. Got an alley all the way down to the 45 of UCF, and that's a good start for the third quarter for Penn State. Look at our ESPN game track now, very much in line with the theme. It's been a Johnson and Johnson thing. Bryant doing the receiving and Larry doing the running. That was the first half, and then Doug Gabriel coming oh so close to a touchdown reception. Was it or wasn't it? As he hit the ground, it was ruled incomplete. They got a field goal out of it. And that's where we stand right now, 10-9. A 53-yard return by Larry Johnson. Getting a breather now. Gerald Smith in at receiver. Zach Mills keeps it himself. Falls down at the 43-yard line. And let's go back to that great kickoff return just moments ago by Larry Johnson.
Mark, special teams. First football game of the year. Not a lot of full contact work in special team situations. Penn State missed the field goal. Penn State dropped a ball on a punt return, but now they come back and get the big kickoff return. This game will probably come down to the kicking game in the end.
Larry Johnson, one of their, actually, Joe Pa says their best special teams player. And went back a season ago and blocked a couple for touchdowns. Johnson out to the 45-yard line, brought down by Elton Patterson, the 6'2" end. Let's take a look at the first half statistics. Go down the columns, the number that really jumps out off the page is the time of possession, although it wasn't a factor on the scoreboard.
I think it's a little bit deceiving. Central Florida created the turnover, which cost Penn State a possession, plus Central Florida returned the opening kickoff. So they actually had 2 additional series.
That one turnover by Penn State led to that field goal by UCF. 3rd down and 8 for Zach Mills. Get to the 37 for the first down. Mills to the wide side of the field, incomplete for Bryant Johnson. And it'll be 4th down and 8 for the Nittany Lions. So after a very good kickoff return, Joe Pa will see his punt team come onto the field.
Big stop. Good pressure right there by DeMarcus Johnson, the junior college defensive tackle that they are really high on. Zach Mills right now seems like the the Penn State team. That's twice today, Mark, that I stumbled on that. A little bit out of sync.
This is the first punt today for David Royer of Penn State. His own 45. Fair catch called back at the 14-yard line by Asante Samuel. Ryan Schneider back onto the field to direct the offense, and when we come back, we will take a look at how his numbers compare against this guy's. Saturday, quarterback Ryan Schneider missed their Golden Black scrimmage because of tendonitis in his right shoulder. He was subsequently limited to just 50 throws per day leading up to this game, and so far, Bob Davey, you'd have to say that it is a non-factor. The way that he is throwing the ball, 1st down and 10. And off to Haynes. Trying to get to the corner, and does. Haynes right near the 1st down marker at the 23-yard line, brought down by Brian Scott. Talking about Ryan Schneider, he has thrown for 38 touchdowns in 2 seasons. His numbers stack up very well against Dante Culpepper.
They do, and the impact a Dante Culpepper has on a program. That marquee name that everybody associates with for recruits, for recognition around the country. You can't put a dollar and cent amount on the value Dante Culpepper's had for UCF.
Let's go downstairs to Holly for more.
Guys, Ryan Schneider said the most important advice he got from Dante Culpepper was, first, some recruiting calls to get him to come to UCF. But second, he's told him how to handle Coach Mike Kruzak. He said he's a perfectionist, he's a professional. You've just got to lay back, relax, and enjoy learning his offense and play to have fun. He said those were the most important words Dante gave him. Nothing he could tell him on his throwing or his technique helped, just how to handle Coach.
Right, Schneider with a very odd-looking delivery and his mechanics. Not what you would classify as pretty, but so far his numbers look very attractive. Mix up on the snap. And Penn State got the ball back.
Right now, this young defensive football team of UCF with a lot of new players is going to be tested on resiliency. Once again, a self-inflicted mistake by UCF. Penn State had absolutely nothing to do with that. Mark, this young defense with a bunch of new faces is back to the wall right now. We're going to see how they respond.
Penn State has the ball on UCF's 23-yard line as both teams now with 1 turnover. The other one, a Brian Johnson fumble on a kick. Goes with the fake. And throws it away. Let's go to Reese back in the studio.
Mark, there is no post-Seminole malaise for Iowa State. They are putting it on Kansas. Hiawatha Rutland. Oh, I think he might have hit the circle to go for the spin move. PS2'd him. 17-0 Iowa State.
Mark, how do you like those uniforms of Iowa State? You like that color combination? Now, be honest.
I'm red green colorblind, so anything works for me. But seriously, sometimes when you lose, you do win a little bit, Bob. I know coaches don't always feel that way, but Iowa State really vaulting into the national consciousness by virtue of their game against Florida State. A close call.
Dan McCarney's done a great job. They're an explosive offensive football team.
And off to Larry Johnson. Tackled at the 17-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and about 5 to go. Omar Lawrence making the tackle for UCF.
Penn State, once again, another new wrinkle is the split back shotgun formation. The lead draw to Larry Johnson. Once again, give him enough touches and he will be the deciding factor in this football game.
Larry Johnson and Tony Johnson from local high schools, and Frank Ganner, the offensive coordinator, doesn't even have to leave town when he goes on his recruiting trip sometimes. 3rd down and 5. Goes with the fake, under duress, and throws it away wisely.
Give UCF a lot of credit, Mark. That was a potential situation where a momentum could have definitely swung to Penn State. And if you look at the body language out there on the field right now, and you look at that Penn State sideline, there's not a whole lot of confidence or a whole lot of emotion. That was a huge series right there.
And Rashad Genty, Bob, shaken up, the defensive end from Miami, with one knee down on the field at the 26-yard line. But Elton Patterson of UCF did a nice job of staying home defensively that time.
Well, earlier in the game, Penn State had the same bootleg called, and the tight end was wide open in the flat. That time, once again, UCF bringing pressure, which anytime there's pressure coming on a bootleg pass, it's not going to work.
Elton Patterson on the Lombardi watch list. 9 sacks a season ago. One of the team captains. Good play here.
Really a good play and a great job by Elton Patterson of not roughing the quarterback. You're going to see Rashad Jenney right here coming from the backside, and that's one of the unfortunate things in college football. He actually gets chopped and looks like, fortunately, hopefully it's not real serious. He's walking off the football field.
There he is, freshman All-American a season ago. 58 tackles to go along with 4 sacks. Plenty of 6'3" sophomore out of Miami, Florida. One thing about Central Florida, UCF, they don't hurt for talented players, recruiting in the very fertile grounds of South Florida and Central Florida, as well as Northern Florida and Georgia. Robbie Gould in for a field goal attempt. This one coming from 34 yards out. And he knocks it through. Penn State increasing its lead to 4 points. But a small victory of sorts for UCF. Still very much in the ball game, and with the ball when we come back. Down on a beautiful field here at Beaver Stadium as Penn State now with a 13-9 lead with 12:06 to go in the 3rd period. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davie and Holly Rowe down in the sidelines. Penn State 4 plays, 6 yards, finishing off with a field goal just a few moments ago from 34 yards out by Robbie Gould. 13-9 for the Nittany Lions. Doug Gabriel takes the knee 7 yards deep. We're here at Beaver Stadium, State College, Pennsylvania, University Park, Beaver Stadium. Number 23, Penn State against UCF. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davie and Holly Rowe. Penn State number 23 with the lead by 4 points. Ryan Schneider, hot so far, 15 of 21, 122 yards. Larry Johnson, the key cog offensively for Penn State.
Give UCF's defense credit. First 2 possessions of the second half, Penn State has started on UCF's side of the field, but they only registered 3 points.
First down and 10. Schneider had a mix-up with his center on the exchange the last time out, which led to the field goal. Flag down on the field. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe. Holly?
Guys, you've been mentioning the atmosphere here, and there are some differences in the demeanor of both sides of the sideline. Penn State right now very quiet and intense. When they ran out of the tunnel at halftime, not a single hoop or holler, just very serious and businesslike. You almost feel that the pressure is too much for them right now. They're just trying not to make mistakes instead of having fun. Now for Central Florida, they have taken the crowd right out of this. They're hooping, hollering, dancing on the sidelines as they come out of the tunnel. They're having a blast, and it's showing on the field.
There's a look at some of the fans that made the trip up from Orlando. Ready to seize the national stage. 1st and 15, Schneider under duress. Backside pressure applied by Michael Haynes, who may have gotten a piece of Schneider's arm on the pass.
Tom Bradley told us yesterday that number 81, Michael Haynes, is probably their best pass rusher. And it's so important on 1st and 10 or first and 15 downs, run or pass, that you get pressure just out of your 4-man front.
Sets up a 2nd down and 15 for UCF.
Tom Bradley's been here a long time, over 20 years on that Penn State sideline.
Including as a player and as a player. 2nd down and 15. Schneider completes it to Doug Gabriel out at the 24-yard line. About 7 yards short of the 1st down. Derek Tolles making the stop.
Once again, Schneider on the crossing route to Doug Gabriel. Mike Kruzik just trying to get back on rhythm coming out of the 2nd long. Does a great job. They've got it to 3rd and 6.5 yards. A makeable 3rd down situation.
Gabriel easily their go-to receiver right now. 3rd down and 6. Three receivers out to the top of your screen. Frizzell at the bottom. Wide open over the middle. Gabriel fighting for the 1st down, but he's going to come up about a yard short, maybe even less. Tolles and Gardner in on the stop.
That's exactly what you have to do if you're going to play zone coverage on 3rd down. Rally on the throw, converge on the receiver, Mark, it looks like he got a pretty favorable spot right here.
A very good spot. And a first down for UCF.
Well, at least they brought the crowd to life with that call.
Not so happy Valley right now. Mike Kruzak putting a lot on his quarterbacks. You heard Schneider and the advice that he got from Culpepper about handling or being handled by the head coach. Kruzak, a former quarterback himself. Very intense guy. Proclivity for working out hard, lifting and pumping iron himself. First down and 10 on the handoff. Haynes brought down just over the 30 by Gino Capone from his middle linebacking spot, and John Bronson.
Mark, to show you how football's changed, you notice UCF and Penn State are in the shotgun a high percentage of time. But UCF has problems with the quarterback-center exchange when he was under center when they turned the ball over a couple series ago. A few years ago, the shotgun was considered such a high-risk weapon. You actually do more of that now than you do when the quarterback's under the center.
I think it'd be the other way around. Second down and 9. Capers in motion. They set up the screen to Haynes, and he dropped it. Thrown a little bit low by Schneider. And Schneider lost his shoe back at the 15-yard line. Took a bit of a hit, too.
On screen passes offensively, you always want to let the defensive line get up the field. But that time, Penn State changed the front and was in an odd front, and they didn't account for Michael Haynes coming off the corner, and he actually affected that throw and catch on that play.
Third down and 9. UCF is 6 of 11 in third down situations today.
Interesting to see if Tom Bradley heats him up right here. There's our first cramp of the game.
Haynes just went down and got back up. Wow. And Schneider sacked back at the 22. Cronin comes in.
He brought the nickel back. Paul Cronin once again on the NCAA blitz. Coming from the field, and that time Ryan Schneider did not recognize it, did not get rid of the football.
An odd-looking sequence.
Once again, you're going to see Paul Cronin coming off the edge. They bring both inside linebackers. He's not accounted for. Schneider did not make the hot read and convert.
Punting. Brian Johnson on the run at the 44. Johnson into UCF territory at the 45-yard line. Folks, tonight at 7:45 Eastern on ESPN, Clemson quarterback Willie Simmons makes his first career start as the Tigers make the short trip to Athens to take on SEC Freshman of the Year David Green and number 12 Georgia. And the fans here at Beaver Stadium a little bit restless, a little bit riled.
I think the third down spot on UCF's last possession brought him to life. And this is the third possession of the second half that Penn State has started inside UCF territory. Look for some kind of trick play or getting the ball down the field right now. Joe feels momentum on his side. And the new quarterback's in the game.
Number 12, Mike Robinson. Great athlete. And he put it on the ground and fumbled it. Penn State got it back at the 40-yard line. Ended up gaining a few yards on the play. Mike Robinson, who runs a 4.4 40, says, I got it, even though he didn't on that run. 6'3" sophomore, 231 pounds. They talked about getting him some reps.
Joe said he was going to play him. He wouldn't commit to exactly when he would play him, but that's the play several series ago, actually in the first half, that Zach Mills almost broke for the touchdown. They tried to put Michael in there and take advantage of his athleticism. Fortunately, Penn State got the ball back.
Tyler Lenda recovered the loose ball for Penn State, setting up a second down and 5. Brian Johnson split to the bottom of the screen. Runs it again. Stopped up about a yard short of the first down at the 36-yard line. Mike Robinson, freshman quarterback from Richmond, Virginia. Boy, 231 pounds. That's a big load.
And you're seeing once again what's in vogue in college football. Spread the defense out in a one-back set. Make the linebackers displace. Use the remaining back as the blocker and use the quarterback actually as the tailback.
great way to get out of the 8-man in the box scenario.
It really is. It's just another way to combat the defense overloading or outnumbering you.
Third down, McHugh, the fullback. He has the Penn State first down at the 34-yard line. When in doubt, give it to the old fullback, the signature belly play by Joe Carr's crew. Zach Mills coming back in.
Once again, the fullback belly play. Good job on the cutback by Sean McHugh. And interestingly, Zach Mills, I believe, is back in this football game right now.
McHugh there, number 42, back after breaking his leg in the game against Michigan a season ago. On the sidelines now, Paul Jefferson in at fullback. This is Larry Johnson. Boy, Johnson delivers the blow and got about 4 yards after he was initially hit. Peter Sands eventually made the stop on the play. First down and 10, Penn State.
Larry Johnson gets a great block on this play from number 72, Gus Felder. And you will see right here, Gus Felder out in front, but the strength of Larry Johnson. Penn State coaches told us yesterday, Mark, that he runs under 4'5" at 228 pounds.
Great size. Last season, 6.5 attempts a game. Already beyond that today. Here he is. The meter still running for Johnson. This time brought down at the 22-yard line. Let's go back to Reese.
All right, Martin, Boston College came out in aggressive fashion to open the second half against UConn. Brian St. Pierre finding Derek Knight this after completing a long way to Keith Hemmings, and Knight's going to take it to the house. 24 yards, and BC on top of UConn now early in the third quarter by 1. Middle Tennessee State kicked a field goal at the end of the half. It's an 11-point game at Alabama.
Parity in college football. We've heard that term a lot over the last several years.
Big time. 2nd and 9. Mills, a quick drop and complete. Johnson just short of the end zone. And now they say touchdown. Late signal and a touchdown.
Missed tackle in the open field. Once again, just a quick hitch to Tony Johnson. Omar Lawrence, starting his first game at UCF, misses the tackle. And once again, that old bugaboo of tackling in the open field, particularly in the opening football game, jumps up and fights UCF.
21 yards, and Tony Johnson hits pay dirt, his 5th career touchdown. Penn State leads 20-9. Satisfying the masses, albeit maybe temporarily. The Nittany Lions increasing its lead. We'll be back. Penn State leading 20-9. Touchdown just a few moments ago from 21 yards out to Tony Johnson. Close call there on the sidelines. Look at the scoring drive, 6 plays, 45 yards, and Bob, a big factor in these Penn State scores in the second half. They've been working with a very short field.
That's the 3rd possession of the second half. Penn State has started in UCF territory, and you knew it was only a matter of time until they had taken advantage of it. But Penn State found the young freshman corner, Omar Lawrence, and Tony Johnson made him miss and put the ball in the end zone.
Will kick off with the wind at his back. He's knocked it through the end zone several times already this afternoon, and this one goes through as well, right through the uprights. Another close call by the pylon.
First of all, you're going to see the corner in thirds. Missed tackle, Tony Johnson. Now the question, does he get the ball across the plane of the goal line before his knee was down? Mark, I'm going to give you one more shot. Did he or didn't he?
You know what? There's a closer set of eyes on the field. I'll trust in those eyes and say that he was in.
That is 2 very close calls in that same order, same angle of the end zone, and UCF has lost both of those calls so far today.
Here they are on the 20-yard line. Little reverse, and they fumble it. Haynes picks it up. Gabriel picks it up. He was lucky to get back to the 16-yard line. Harrell made the stop.
Actually, I think that play was going to materialize if they didn't fumble the handoff. It looked like an excellent call by Mike Kruzik on 1st and 10, but obviously the play broke down once again because of penetration by the defensive front, Michael Haynes. That's Michael Haynes' second big play of the afternoon.
Ball back at the 17, and Gabriel making a couple of guys miss before he finally got back there. Second down at 13. Snyder to pass. For Haynes, incomplete. Covered by the other Haynes in the flat. Let's go back to Reese in the studio.
Mark, you guys know Gary Barnett has never won an opening game at Colorado, and he's in trouble in this one too. Colorado State, Cecil Sapp going in for the second time. Another missed extra point. We've seen a lot of those today. Rams up 13-0.
Colorado State, Mark, already with a big win under their belt on the road at Virginia. That's a big-time football game for Colorado to open up the season with a big rival like that.
Cecil Diesel, another Florida guy playing at Colorado State. Boy, Sonny Lubick continues to do a tremendous job out there at Fort Collins. Third down conversions today, UCF 6 of 12. Third and long. Snyder lobs one up for Frizzell. Picked off at the 39-yard line by Calvin Lowry.
Penn State and Tom Bradley, the last two snaps, decided to change it up. Three-man rush, maximum coverage. It was actually a 6-under, 2-deep zone. Jimmy Frizzell was open in the curl. Ryan Snyder untypically throws the football over top of him, and the ball's intercepted by a true freshman safety. His first interception as a Nittany Lion, the fourth possession of the second half. It started in UCF territory.
Things becoming a little bit unraveled for UCF here in the second half. Back in at quarterback, number 12, Mike Robinson. Takes it into the boundary and is brought down at the 35-yard line.
A priority going into this season. Penn State only had 6 interceptions last year and 6 forced turnovers. 6 forced fumble recoveries. 12 for the year. An area emphasis this offseason was turnovers.
Follow the 35. Second down and 6. Hugh and Larry Johnson out of the eye. Little counter play. Larry Johnson brought down at the 27-yard line. Another Penn State first down. And don't miss college football doubleheader tonight on ESPN2, 5:30 Eastern. Number 4, Tennessee against Wyoming. And then number 25, Wisconsin against UNLV at 8:45 Eastern, 5:45 Pacific. That's tonight on ESPN2. Move the chains again for Penn State. Throws the ball resting at the 27-yard line. Zach Mills in at quarterback. Ryan Johnson split to the bottom of your screen. Give it to the fullback. McHugh still on his feet. Broke a tackle down to the 22-yard line. Well, McHugh recruited as a tight end initially. A very good runner. 6'5", 260. A big load to bring down.
He is really an impressive athlete. And it seems like just moments ago that UCF coming out of the locker room had the momentum. But it's amazing what kicking game and turnovers will do. What a bind it puts your defensive football team in. And this is a young defense.
Second and 4. Penn State already with 41 rushing yards this quarter to nothing for UCF. McHugh again trying the left side, brought down to the 20-yard line. Getting back to Sean McHugh, Bob, one of several Penn State players and staff members playing with, still you would think, a very heavy heart. His mother unfortunately passing away this past off-season, and we talked about Joe's brother George passing away and Frank Ganner's wife passing away. It has almost proved as a galvanizing effect and bringing everyone a lot closer on this Penn State family. Third down and 2. Larry Johnson between the tackles and a first down at the 15-yard line. Running the ball now with a lot of proficiency are the Nittany Lions.
Mark, that's 5 straight runs for Penn State. And if you're Mike Kruzik, this is your worst nightmare right now. To turn the football over on offense and give Penn State extra series. Always a Penn State trademark. The I formation, tailback counter. And Larry Johnson looks to me like a true Penn State I tailback.
Gives him the first down and 10 from the 15. UCF coming on a blitz. The slant incomplete. Intended for Bryant Johnson.
You have to like Omar Lawrence, the freshman corner, bouncing back from the missed tackle against Tony Johnson and breaking on that football and making a play. That's a great play right there by a young freshman cornerback. And one of the things about playing cornerback, Mark, you better have a short memory. You better let the last play roll off your back and go on to the next play because you're going to be challenged.
And Bob, that's Atari Bigby, the strong safety for UCF. Down on the field, a little shaken up. Let's go back to Reese in the studio.
Mark, Rick Neuheisel has given Charles Frederick a couple of chances. He's left the team a couple of times early because he's supremely talented. Now he's starting to mature. Look at this. Into double coverage. Cody Pickett drops it on Frederick. Touchdown. The Huskies have taken the lead. They're up 20-14 in the Big House. They're about halfway through the third. You guys are watching a fine quarterback from the MAC. Another one, Ben Roethlisberger, has his team on top of North Carolina, 13-7.
Once again, that Washington play, I have to go back to yesterday. It's not the X's and O's. It's the Jimmies and the Joes. That play had nothing to do with the call.
There's a look at Bigby out of Miami, Florida. He of the long dreadlocks. 5'11", 215, a hard hitter.
He's a good football player.
Second down and 10 for Penn State. Mills keeps it himself. They've liked that play today. Mills 2 yards short of the first down at the 7.
Once again, the quarterback counter run out of the one-back set. They wrap around the backside offensive tackle, Gus Felder. You have a lot more confidence doing those quarterback runs when you feel like you have a backup quarterback. Because the trade-off is your quarterback's going to take a licking.
You got to keep him healthy. Paterno told Mills that all the things written about you, Zach, are like poison. It's okay as long as you don't swallow it. Teaching the young man how to handle all the hype surrounding him right here on campus and beyond. 3rd and 3. McHugh, the fullback, plowing his way forward near the 15, and another Penn State first down. Near the first down.
Interesting decision, Mark. If you kick the field goal, it puts you up 23-9, up by 14. With the momentum you feel right now, I feel like Joe's going to go for it right here.
They seem to be having their way along the line of scrimmage, and Mills stays on the field. 5 guys up front: Felder, Smith, Iorio, Lenda, and Schmidt. Paul Jefferson in at fullback as well now, along with McHugh and Larry Johnson. And Zach Mills wants to talk it over with the spectacled Joe Paterno. Let's take a look at our Mass Mutual storyline. Larry Johnson, big part of the offensive attack, 119 total yards. The defense with 2 big plays this quarter. The recent one, an interception. And Schneider has been cooled off here in the second half. Bob Davey.
And the storyline really is 4 offensive possessions for Penn State in the second half, 4 times starting inside UCF territory. And this may seem like a little thing, but I think that's a key timeout right there. That helps UCF regroup a little bit and maybe gives them a chance to stop Penn State on 4th down. Because I think fatigue starts to play a role in this football game, along with the momentum that Penn State has.
Joe Paterno, as you mentioned, over 50 years here at Penn State as assistant coach and then head coach. Keeps in tremendous shape. We had a chance to visit with him a couple days ago, had lunch with Joe Pa, and he's in great physical condition, likes to power walk about 5 miles a day, watches what he eats, has a proclivity for eating a lot of pickles. So I got to start that if it's going to get me to 75 like Joe Pa. Said he stopped playing handball, though, Bob, when he went from bifocals to trifocals on his glasses.
That's a great story, but the biggest testimony for Joe Paterno is what those assistant coaches say about him. And the fact that Fran Ganner's been around here 30 years, Dick Anderson 20 years, Tommy Bradley 20 years.
4th down and short. McHugh, fumble, and UCF has it.
Mark, I go back to the timeout that Penn State had to use, give UCF a chance to get their feet back on the ground, and that is a huge football play.
Asante Samuel recovering the loose ball on the fumble.
You're going to see UCF bringing the linebacker. Once again, the penetration causes that missed handoff to the fullback right there.
A big play for that Golden Knights defensive crew. Well, he didn't have that many gray hairs before that play, but
Joe might have to break out one of those pickles right now on the sideline by the looks of that face right there.
as ECF gets itself out of a pickle. 1st down and 10. See what they can do. Schneider into the center. Haynes cuts it up. Out to the 14-yard line. Tonight at 7:45 Eastern on ESPN, Clemson and quarterback Willie Simmons taking on SEC Freshman of the Year David Green and number 12 Georgia. College Football Saturday presented by the U.S. Postal Service on ESPN. Georgia got a lot of great speed at the skill positions.
What a great atmosphere to play down in Athens, Georgia. And Clemson the same way. We get a chance to get down there later in the season.
Got them coming up against Georgia Tech in a couple of weeks. 2nd down and 9. UCF hasn't gotten into the end zone today. All 3 scores on field goals. Schneider under pressure, sacked by Haynes at the 7.
Michael Haynes once again. Tom Bradley had the foresight yesterday to tell us that Michael Haynes is an impact player. Interesting call right there, Mark. Running the bootleg pass on 2nd and long. You really had to feel that UCF had to throw the football. And running a bootleg pass is more predicated on the defense thinking you're going to have to run the football.
Haynes, the son of military presence. Parents has lived in Panama, journey around the world, and a zoology major. Used to dealing with different types of animals, and tracked down one in Ryan Schneider right there. Sets up a 3rd down 15 timeout. Both teams with a couple timeouts remaining. Folks, NFL kickoff weekend starts right here on ESPN Thursday night at 8:30 Eastern when the San Francisco 49ers take on the New York Giants. Coverage begins with a special edition of NFL Countdown presented by Coors Light at 6:30 Eastern. ESPN and ABC, your exclusive home for primetime football. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe.
Guys, Penn State defensive lineman Jimmy Kennedy had an opportunity to go pro last year. He decided to stay here at Penn State for a couple of reasons. Number one, he wasn't rated as high as he'd like to be in the draft ratings, and he said that he couldn't leave here after being part of 2 losing seasons. He went 30-3 in high school, and it was killing him to stay here and lose. He felt like it was his responsibility to try to turn things around. But my favorite reason, he says, I've been broke 22 years. 1 more year isn't going to matter.
Good point, Holly. You know, coming out of high school, Bob, he weighed over 400 pounds, has really worked diligently at getting himself in shape.
I think that's a great story to show you and tell our audience how much these players have invested in this. This isn't the kind of sport where you show up in August anymore and go play. It's a year-round situation. A young man like Jimmy Kennedy has so much riding on this in his senior season.
Engaged to Rashana Barnes, former Penn State basketball player a couple years ago. 3rd and 15. Schneider going up top for Gabriel, and he caught it. Doug Gabriel with a circus catch on the sidelines at the 40-yard line, and a 1st down. Got in behind Scott on the play.
Woo! Do you love the resiliency of Central Florida? Once again, Doug Gabriel, no collision right there by Brian Scott. They're playing a 2-deep coverage. He didn't give the safety, Sean Mayer, enough time to get over, but he didn't reroute Doug Gabriel, and what a great throw by Ryan Schneider.
Gabriel getting a breather on the sidelines. Yeah, Schneider just put it right where it had to be. 101 yards receiving today for number 11 for UCF. Here's Haynes. Haynes now out to the 48-yard line, brought down by number 47, Gino Capone, and that's the end of the third period of play here at Beaver Stadium in State College, Pennsylvania. UCF trailing with the ball when we come back for the game's final quarter. 43 Penn State leading by a score of 20-9, but UCF has the ball. Second down and about 3 to go. Mark Jones along with Bob Davie and Holly Rowe. UCF very much in this ball game still. Haynes between the tackles. Has the first down for UCF, tackled by John Bronson. For UCF, Bob Davie, it has been a game of what you might consider near misses. Here's one of them, Doug Gabriel, what could have been a touchdown, and then the fumble on the exchange, Ryan Snyder in center, and then the interception. In the third quarter, Penn State working with a short field.
Mark, and add in there the opening kickoff return of the second half by Larry Johnson that he took into UCF territory. But you have to love the resiliency of UCF.
First down and 10 after that Haynes run. And Haynes tackles Snyder and fumbles it. Recovered by UCF. Michael Haynes has turned up the intensity notch just a little bit here.
One of the reasons last year that Penn State ended up 98th in the country in total defense is that they didn't get big play performances out of their front. They were a good, solid group, but you need big plays. And Michael Haynes has provided that here today. Negative yardage plays created by your defense.
Last year, Haynes came up with 11 sacks, tied for tops on the defense, along with Anthony Adams.
Now, what did you tell me? He's a big game hunter.
Big game hunter. Works with animals. Hunts them down. 2 yards to go. Snyder behind his intended receiver. Incomplete. Let's go to Reese in the studio.
Mark, Washington and Michigan starting to look like an opening day classic. The Wolverines survived a fumble right on the goal line, and then Chris Perry paid it off. The second touchdown of the game. Michigan has gone back on top. 21-20. They are pretty deep in the third quarter. UConn and BC, it's still a one-point game. The Huskies have now moved inside the Boston College 20. They will not go away.
Wow. Man, the complexion of that BC team really changes when William Green decides to leave here early.
Well, time will only tell, but there's a reason he was a first-round draft choice. He was very important to that team and that program.
Third down and 22 for UCF. They got a big conversion from Gabriel last time on third down. Let's see what they do here. Goes up top. Frizzell got it in behind the defense. First down UCF at the 13-yard line.
Unbelievable. Great protection by the offensive line of UCF. Penn State continues to play zone coverage exclusively on third and long, and when you don't get the pass rush, here they bring 4. They don't get any kind of pressure. They're in a zone coverage, and Sean Mayer, the cardinal sin of a deep safety is to let a receiver in behind you. And once again, UCF will not go away, Mark.
Frizzell, one of 3 team captains, makes a big catch. First down and 10 at the 15-yard line. Handoff is to Haynes. Trying to get to the edge. There's a flag down. Haynes down at the 13-yard line. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe.
Guys, it was a very unusual turn of events just now. Richard Gardner, the quarterback, was trying to come onto the field for Penn State. The official would not let him on the field because his pants were not regulation. They were not long enough to cover his knee pads. They sent him off the side. He quickly stripped and changed his pants. But on that last series, he ran back on the field. He was out of position on defense, thus the long completion on third down for Central Florida. What a crazy turn of events. Pants swapping on the sidelines.
Wow, Holly, I'm not sure how to tag that, but Bob, you and I were down in the field before the game, and we kind of noticed that the pants were up above the knees a little bit.
I was really surprised to see that, and Mark and I commented that there is an NCAA rule that you have to wear knee pads, and those pants with those knee pads has to be below your kneecap. And we noticed in pregame warm-up that they were not properly equipped. And I was really surprised. Normally you have an assistant coach, the assistant coach in charge of that group. In other words, if it's a defensive back, it's the secondary coach that you send around the locker room before the game and at halftime just to make sure they're properly equipped.
I heard of being caught with your...
Look at Joe. I think he's looking now.
Heard of being caught with your pants down, but pants up too high? That's a first. First and 19. Snyder up and incomplete. Broken up by Mayer and Gardner.
That time, really good pressure on Ryan Snyder. Once again, Michael Haynes, and I think you see the athleticism on the back end of Sean Mayer going up and making that play on the football. And also Richard Gardner, he realizes the wrath he may take for that equipment violation from Joe. He responded right there and made a big play.
Ferris Capers, the intended receiver on the play. Second down and 19. Schneider now, after a hot first half, 19 of 31 for 215 yards.
It's tough to call plays on second down and over 20 yards.
Little reverse here. They run it into the boundary, and Ferris Capers, the intended receiver on the last play, brought down by Bronson that time. It'll be third down and long for UCF.
Mike Kruzik has to be disappointed that they keep getting themselves off rhythm. He mentioned us before the game. Stay on rhythm where you have the whole gamut of plays you can call to keep the defense off balance. But he's in so many long yardage situations. At some point here, Penn State has to play man-to-man coverage, change it up, or come after him and blitz him. I don't think they can sit back here and let Ryan Snyder sit in that pocket again on this third down.
It happens on 3rd and 12. UCF, one of the top passing teams in the country the last 4 years running, finishing in the top 15 last year. They were 9th in the nation in passing, and we have a timeout on the field. We're going to take a short timeout as well. Stick around. We'll be right back. Contemplating his next move, his team down by 11 with 12:02 to go in the fourth quarter. Is the 12th play of the Golden Knights drive. Doug Gabriel split to the bottom of the screen.
Here they come.
Penn State blitzing. Intended for Frizzell, incomplete, and no flags on the play.
Tom Bradley changed it up. Brought all three linebackers right there with the pressure. Richard Gardner once again makes a play. Once again, you see the blitz. UCF maximum protection. I would like to see that from the end zone. I'm not sure Richard Gardner didn't have a little piece of that jersey.
The ball thrown behind Frizzell a little bit.
Mark, this is a big field goal because it could potentially put UCF within 8 points.
Prater has connected on 3 today, including a career-high 53-yarder. This one coming from 34. And it's blocked! And knocked out of bounds. And a flag as a result. Penn State comes up with a big special teams play. So what was a perfect day so far for Prater is no longer.
Special teams. And if you noticed earlier in this football game, Penn State has been getting a lot of push. Once again, it's Derek Wake coming up the middle with great pressure, great vertical jump, great effort. And for a guy coming off major knee surgery in the last season, what a great effort. You see the holder, Jimmy Frizzell, kicks the ball out of bounds.
Bringing back memories of Garo Yepremian. Eric Wake talked about his tools.
You have to give Derek Wake credit. It's not the easiest thing to ask a player to sell his body out like that and go airborne, particularly coming off a rehab of a knee injury. That was, once again, a huge play in this game. Central Florida has to kick themselves right now for missed opportunities.
They narrowed the lead to 12 points with plenty of time to go. Mike Kruzik was a little bit apprehensive about his team coming up here in light of the fact that they missed about 20% of their total practice time because of the inclement weather down in the Central Florida area. And that might be one area where it shows up in the special teams, although for the most part today, they've looked very prepared.
And I think it's interesting that UCF, they're trying to do a great job with facilities. They have a new athletic director, Steve Orsini. They're actually building up bubbles so that they can have indoor practices, not so much because of rain, but because of lightning. And that really did hamper their preparation time.
We had a member of the coaching staff constantly watching the Weather Channel for updates. It was that bad. First down and 10 for Penn State out at the 39-yard line. Mills under pressure and brought down at the 39-yard line. And back to Reese Davis in the studio.
Okay, Mark, let's get you up to date on a few things going on. Miami continues to lead North Carolina. The MAC trying to pull an upset there, about to go to the half. Middle Tennessee State hanging around against Alabama, 22-14. They're getting deep in the third at Legion Field. And remember how Purdue's offense was the worst in the Big Ten last year? Well, maybe that's changed again. The Boilermakers have dropped 20 on Illinois State in the first quarter. Orton with a couple of touchdowns.
All right, Reese, they're up at the line, second down and 10 for the Nittany Lions. Tony Johnson in motion. This is Larry Johnson. Johnson with a nice hole out to midfield at the 45-yard line, tackled by Stanford Rule.
I think Joe's involved in this play calling right now. Fran Ganner told us yesterday that they really sometimes just alternate and take turns. And Joe's biggest concern and what he watches the most is just the tempo of the offense. He doesn't worry about so much about what plays they call, just what is their cadence and are they coming off on the ball.
It's interesting how the two of them have a great dynamic between them. Neither steps on each other's toes, so to speak. Third down and 4. Mills with time. Great reception by the tight end, Casey Williams. And a first down for Penn State at UCF's 42-yard line.
Big third down conversion right there. You make UCF's defense stay on the field. And Casey Williams one-hands it right here. He doesn't look like the prototype tight end. He's 5'11", about 237 pounds. And he was a walk-on here at one time in this program.
They say that technically he's one of the best players on that offensive unit, though. As we approach 10 minutes to go here in the fourth quarter. Backs lining up out of the eye. Larry Johnson. Brought down inside the 40 at the 38-yard line by DeMarcus Johnson. Johnson and Patterson played high school ball together. Johnson, a JC transfer. Larry Johnson, a real fan of the old NFL films and a great historian of the game, Bob. He says that his favorite NFL films highlight is the hit that Bednarik made on Gifford in that game way back in the day, the clothesline.
Well, you can tell his dad's a coach. His dad actually coaches the special teams, and that's why you see a lot of those Johnson brothers on the special teams at Penn State.
There's Mills to pass, has a man wide open. That's Tony Johnson at the 26-yard line, who is working on Omar Lawrence.
They have found the freshman corner. Once again, he's forced to give a lot of cushion. Tony Johnson breaks the route up. They're in a 3-deep coverage, and really it's pitch and catch if you execute. One thing I think the young corner, Omar Lawrence, has a bad habit of keeping his eyes back on that quarterback too long. Get your eyes on the receiver. That's why you have the missed tackles. You focus too much on the quarterback when the ball's in the air.
Tony Johnson have a pretty productive day, meanwhile. First down and 10 for Penn State. Mills keeps it himself. Mills making a little magic down to the 11-yard line. And another first down for the Nittany Lions. They are just methodically moving that ball against UCF.
You feel right now, Mark, that it's really important for Penn State to score so that Joe Paterno can get some younger players in this game. Not only does it help your depth down the season, it helps the attitude. Because they've had a long training camp. They have an open date next week. You'd like to reward some players that have worked hard through training camp.
Not to get ahead of ourselves, but Nebraska is next on the docket for Penn State. First down and 10. Hand off to the fullback, Jefferson. And Jefferson is brought down inside the 10 at the 7-yard line. Bob, what goes into the big picture of the season when you look at opponent by opponent, but you don't want to give away too much too soon.
I think what really helps Penn State is the fact that they have an open date after this game before Nebraska comes in. Obviously, it helps them in preparation for Nebraska, but I also think it allowed them to focus on UCF during training camp. Instead of spending 50-50 time on UCF Nebraska, they could focus on this football game.
Daunting schedule coming up for the Nittany Lions. Nebraska game will see on ABC. 2nd down and 7. Mills on the pitch. Touchdown, Penn State, Jefferson.
Zach Mills, a great job running the option. He took a pretty good lick right there, but he was able to execute it. And UCF, no perimeter support right there.
And you can almost feel a collective sigh of relief coming from the sidelines and from the fans here at Beaver Stadium. As if to say, finally, guys.
Well, it's so important, Mark, with that open date next week. You want to go into that game feeling some momentum. Joe will have enough things to work on, enough things to complain about, but you just want to feel good for the next 2 weeks.
Feeling pretty good right now. 27-9 lead for the Nittany Lions, trying to bounce back from 2 consecutive losing seasons. Paul Jefferson doing the honors here. We'll be right back after this. That's a lot of friends, 106,000.
That's why you want to play well, to have them on your side.
It helps.
Particularly when you're coaching.
Joe Paterno, a real picture of longevity and consistency here in Happy Valley. Yeah, maybe it's not your father's Penn State team.
No, Joe right now, just putting myself in his spot. He has some concerns. He's concerned right now, how good are they on defense? 3rd down pass defense. I think he has to feel good about his offense. If they can execute on offense, I think they're going to be maybe a dynamic offensive team by the end of this football season. But I have concerns about the defense, Mark.
Getting back to that defense, one guy that's really distinguished himself, Bob, in the 2nd half, Michael Haynes, number 81. Here's Gabriel. Gabriel out to the 37, and let's go to our return guy in the studio, Reese Davis.
Mark, Alabama deep in the 3rd quarter of that game, and we're still back and forth at the big house. Washington with a field goal up by 2, but Michigan's now on the move.
And that was a game last year between those 2 teams, Michigan and Washington. Michigan seemingly in control late, and then, boy, did things swing late in that game in Washington's favor to come up with the win.
Interesting how these different schedules are made. You see a lot of teams opening up with what you would presume to be a win. You have to give Michigan and Washington credit for playing each other the first game of the year. Once again,
Michael Haynes with the tackle on Doug Gabriel. You really can't discount the efforts of UCF, and they have a daunting task ahead with 3 consecutive road games.
I would be aware if I was in the MAC conference right now. Central Florida is going to be a strong, strong contender for that championship. They go to Arizona State next week, but they have an open date before they go to Huntington and play Marshall.
2nd down and 9. Snyder out of the shotgun this time as we approach 7 minutes to go here in the 4th quarter. Pass complete to Tavares Capers. Brought down immediately by Richard Gardner. UCF will be in the MAC conference in the West Division. Check that, the East Division. And there's a feeling amongst other conference members that UCF comes in not just looking to get along, they want to take something home.
I think so. And the great thing about this is Mike Kruzak, unless they have a remarkable turnaround, won't win this football game. But you know there's that conference championship waiting out there. And that first game against Marshall will be their first MAC conference football game.
There's Snyder to pass, complete to Gabriel on Penn State's side of midfield at the 49-yard line, stopped immediately by Brian Scott. Doug Gabriel, one of those players that creates a buzz when he gets near or touches the ball.
Doug Gabriel is an exciting football player. Once again, the deep square in route, good pressure up front. Once again by Michael Haynes. Doug Gabriel, to me, looks like an NFL-style football player.
Last year had 9 touchdowns, tops on the team. First down and 10 for UCF. Now they're going to pitch it complete once again to number 11. A first down at the Penn State 30-yard line. Doug Gabriel.
They keep coming. And it's so important how you finish a football game. At some point, it may be beyond this week, and you start worrying about next week. And I'm not saying this football game's over, but that was just a great throw and catch right there. Great execution. The nickelback, Paul Cronin, almost had a chance to make an interception, but give UCF credit right there.
The receivers come out to the right as Gabriel takes a breather. Side hand off to Haynes. He's looking to break one, brought down instead at the 37 by Lamar Stewart.
Lamar Stewart on the tackle. UCF on the wraparound draw play where they bring the offensive tackle around as the lead blocker out of the shotgun. A very big play right now in college football.
Second down and 7. He's coming in from the sidelines. The clock now the enemy of the Golden Knights. We approach 5 minutes to go. Snyder to Haynes. Tackled at the 22-yard line by Lowry. A couple yards short of the first down.
You go back to the comment that Penn State's coaches made about looking at the 70 blitzes on tape from last year and Ryan Snyder only taking 1 sack. That was a great example right there of him evading Jimmy Kennedy. Mark, I go back to, it seems like just a moment ago, it was 20-9. UCF was kicking a field goal when the field goal was blocked. This football game potentially could be a lot closer than it is right now.
It's 10 points when you look at 3 at one end, touchdown and conversion at the other. 1 to go. 1 to go. The draw to Haynes. He has the first down. Keeping the drive alive for the Golden Knights, who have yet to get into the end zone today against Penn State's defense. Michael Haynes, the key cog in their running attack. He's talking about his workouts during the course of the summer at Apopka High School, along with former UNLV running back Jeremy Rudolph now in the NFL. He too, Haynes, was bothered by a bit of an ankle injury in training camp, but seems to have recovered well enough to do a good job here today. First down and 10, under 4 minutes to go.
He wants that clean back.
Pass complete down to the 6-yard line. Doug Gabriel.
Once again, a great throw. Penn State in a 2-deep zone coverage. The slant against 2 deep is always a problem. You're going to see right here, they actually faked the bubble screen and ran the slant. It's really the safety's play to just drive on the football. You have to be impressed with Doug Gabriel in this football game, Mark.
I sure do. First and goal to go for the Golden Knights. Gabriel lined up to the bottom of your screen. He's made 10 catches for 138 yards. Snyder, incomplete in the end zone. And a flag on the play. It's intended for Frizzell.
Pass interference, defense by all we placed on the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
First and goal to go from the 2. Snyder 25 of 38. We're here at University Park, PA. UCF against number 23 Penn State. I'm Mark Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe on the first full weekend of college football. First down and goal to go. Haynes up the middle, touchdown. Alex Haynes with UCF's first touchdown of the season.
One thing you always want to see, particularly early in the season, with the defense has been as maligned as much as Penn State's has been over the offseason, is a killer instinct and seize the momentum that they have in this football game. It has to be discouraging right now to Joe Paterno and Tom Bradley that Central Florida was able to take that football down the field when all the momentum was on Penn State's side.
I bet that'll be something that they talk about in their meetings. Gonna go for 2 here. Gabriel lined up to the bottom of your screen. Haynes the lone back beside Schneider. And they get the 2-point conversion. Great catch by Capers. So the lead is down to 10 with 3:23 to go, but time definitely not the ally of UCF and the Golden Knights. Haynes will take this anyway. We'll be right back. There, number 4 and number 11, Doug Gabriel, along with Ryan Schneider, leading the way into the end zone for UCF, cutting the lead to 10. Don't forget, coming up after the game, it's the College Game Day scoreboard presented by Acura. Reese Davis, Mark May, and Trev Alberts in the studio. Highlights of Washington and Michigan, another close game, and the Game Day gang, of course, there in Ann Arbor, Michigan, with news, highlights, and analysis of the busy Saturday afternoon in college football. Alex Haynes' work during the summertime paying off, especially on that last drive. 9 plays, 63 yards, 4:33 on the clock.
We'll see the onside kick and the fabled hands team. And actually, Joe Paterno on Thursday's practice tried the onside kick himself against this team.
The hands team, led by Tony Johnson, making the recovery. Let's go back to Reese in the studio.
Okay, Mark, and back to the big house, Washington and Michigan. Chris Perry's had a big day. He's over 100 yards rushing, and this, his 3rd touchdown of the afternoon. Great blocking up front. Wolverines up 28-23. Still plenty of time to go for one of those patented new Heisel rallies.
Michigan returns a strong offensive line from last year.
There were some people that thought that they would have some quarterbacking questions, and especially trying to replace some good receivers as well, like Marquise Walker. Here's Larry Johnson brought down at midfield at the 49. Larry Johnson, Tony Johnson, Bryant Johnson, DeMarcus Johnson. There's a few of them on the field today, but Penn State's have been the biggest story. Larry with a touchdown run there, and Tony with a touchdown reception and run. Bryant with some key plays and some key 3rd down conversions. A total of 264 yards and a couple touchdowns. So I guess the moral of the story is, what, change your name to Johnson? Close?
Mark, what's disappointing is Penn State allowing Central Florida to get down the field and score. Joe Paterno can't get some younger players in the game. You see Larry Johnson still carrying the football. You see Zach Mills, Gus Felder. Their entire first offense is out on the field right now.
Yeah, Joe Pa was able to get Mike Robinson, the backup quarterback, in the ball game, and we have a timeout down on the field. That's UCF's final timeout. Penn State, meanwhile, with 2 remaining. We'll be back right after this. Beaver Stadium, 27-17. Penn State with the lead with 2:29 to go in the 4th quarter. Alex Jones along with Bob Davey and Holly Rowe. Don't forget, coming up next, College Game Day scoreboard brought to you by Acura. Mark May, Chris Fowler. Like that Reese Davis in the studio along with Trev Alberts. 3rd down and 13. Mills wisely, a good career decision, drops down at the 46.
The positive for Penn State's defense in the second half, they forced 2 turnovers and they blocked a field goal, which ended up producing 10 points. So the concentrated effort they made in the offseason of creating turnovers, they can go in and sell their kids on the impact of that during the offseason.
Sometimes those stats can be so misleading. Sometimes, Bob, as you pointed out when we were looking at those numbers, that is kind of dependent on the other guy and how much he wants to fumble the ball, too.
It really is. And one thing as a coach, you're always going to take those statistics and spin them in a way to try to motivate your football team.
Secrets are coming out. 4th and 12. Warrior into punt. Run a little clock. Take the penalty.
Delay of game. 5 yards. The down.
1:36 to go.
Clock will start on the snap.
Mark, Penn State has some tremendous facilities, don't they? We had a chance to go through their football building and their indoor practice facilities.
Incredible offices and weight room, meeting rooms. All the video you can handle. Great punt by Royer into the end zone. And it'll come out to the 20. Well, UCF has had some big wins. One of them coming October 28, 2000 at Alabama. They scored 27 unanswered points, and then with 3 seconds to go, Javier Berlegui made a 37-yard field goal right there to give UCF the win, 40-38. And they have had some near misses otherwise.
And you notice every one of those games, Mark, were on the road. And it's so difficult to win the close games on the road. But it's something they have to do at this stage of their program right now.
That's complete to Frizzell, out of bounds at the 27-yard line. And no longer is UCF an independent. And with the trend in college football, with all the bowl deals and affiliations, it was almost a point where independents become extinct. There was the year back, 98, for instance. They finished 9-2 and are caught on the outside looking in, don't get invited to a bowl game.
That's an excellent point, and I think UCF will really see the rewards of being in a conference, not only the bowl tie-ins, but also all conference teams and bowl championships.
Snyder complete to Frizzell once again, who tiptoes out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Move the chains with 1:19 to go. First down and 10. Now,
Mark,
UCF, what do you want to do here?
Well, I continue to do what I'm doing. If I'm Penn State, I don't want to get too reckless, but I want to leave here with a little bit more of an aggressive attitude. You don't want to let UCF go down the field. It may not impact the outcome of this game, but it impacts the mindset of these players next week.
First down and 10. Haynes brought down at the 40-yard line, about 5 short of the first down by Cronin. Clock running with 1:08 to go. Ryan Schneider has been pitching it today. 2nd and 5. Incomplete, almost intercepted by Levon Chisley.
That may be the biggest pass dropper in the country. We saw him in practice. He's about 6'6", 265 pounds, and he's defending the flat. He's going to take up a bunch of space out there in the flat.
What a wingspan he has, too. There is number 17 on your screen. UCF out of timeouts.
Right now, if you're a defensive, excuse me, Mark, right now, if you're a defensive lineman, you're thinking stats. Get up that field and get you a sack now.
Haynes, Kennedy, Adams, Bronson, Chisley. Schneider complete over the middle, and man, Gabriel took a hit. First down at the 45-yard line. Doug Gabriel is playing right to the final gun.
I'm impressed how physical he is. He's taken some shots today, but he has hung on to that football, particularly coming across the middle. We've seen a lot of curls and square ins out of Central Florida.
First down and 10 from the 45. They're going to say it's complete for another first down at the 32-yard line. Frizzell making the catch.
Mark, do you like the 3-man rush?
Not when you're getting that kind of pressure.
Great catch by Jimmy Frizzell over on the sidelines there once again. I mean, great concentration. And a great throw by Schneider.
36 seconds to go. Schneider today, 312 yards passing. He has 8 career 300-yard passing games. Here the fans a little bit restless. They don't want UCF to score. Wide open and out of bounds, complete to Tavares Capers at the 6.
You think Nebraska will think about coming out and throwing it 55 times in 2 weeks? But you can count on one thing. Those Big Ten teams down the road are going to try to take advantage of the vulnerability Penn State has.
They are moving it in a hurry with 30 seconds to go. You have to admire the guts and temerity of Mike Kruzik's team. First and goal from the 6. Again, touchdown, Capers. Stops the clock with 24 seconds to go.
Give credit to Mike Kruzik and UCF. And if it's possible to have a positive out of a negative, having lost a football game, I think you just saw it today. UCF has to leave here, their fans and their players, feeling good about this effort.
Later in for the extra point, and it's a 3-point game, so obviously we can expect a subsequent onside kick. 8 plays, 80 yards, using just 1:04 on the clock. Untouched into the end zone, Capers.
They like Tavares Capers, the young receiver. Well, Mark, we're going to see another onside kick right here.
Kruzik still very fired up. And why not? Well, the last time that UCF tried an onside kick, one of the Johnson brothers was on the hands team and recovered it. Folks, don't forget tonight, 7:45 Eastern on ESPN, Clemson, led by Willie Simmons, makes his first career start as the Tigers make a short trip to Athens, taking on number 12, Georgia. College Football Saturday presented by the U.S. Postal Service on ESPN. For more on our lineup of upcoming games, log on to ESPN.com, the keyword schedule. Here comes Prater. Get a good bounce out of this. And once again, the hands team does the job for Penn State. Number 24, Bryant Johnson, there to grab the loose ball, and a flag on the play. UCF is out of timeouts. Penn State with a couple remaining. Schneider just 1 yard shy of tying the career high mark in passing yardage. The school mark of 345 yards.
That's incredible. But getting back to Penn State, I think Penn State has a chance to be a really good football team before this year's over.
First.
People are going to look at the final score of this, Bob, and think that it's a little odd because we were here at the game, and it'll be a game of near misses for UCF. They had the blocked field goal, and then Penn State comes down and scores. And then at the end of the game here, UCF makes it close with a couple of late touchdown drives. So in the end, it kind of in a weird way evened itself out.
I agree, Mark. These are two pretty close football teams. Penn State had a difficult time matching up with UCF, but they're going to see a lot of this kind of spread offense during the course of this season.
Zach Mills, the super sophomore, leading his team to victory in their first game of the season. Penn State looking to get off to a better start than they did in their previous 2 seasons. Schneider, meanwhile, will take home the loss, but some very impressive statistics. Coming up next, it's the College Game Day scoreboard presented by Acura. The final score, 27-24 for Penn State. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. For Bob Davey and Holly Rowe and the rest of our ESPN crew, I'm Mark Jones. Now back to Reese Davis.